Shalom. Shalom. The covering of a woman's head. I don't teach. I'm not a teacher. But this has been on my spirit for a while to share. So I'm going to share it. Take it or leave it. The covering of a woman's head. Now I pray you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things and keep the ordinance as I delivered them to you. We're in 1 Corinthians 11. That was the second verse. Let me read the first verse. Be ye followers of me, even as I am of Christ. This is Paul talking, from my understanding. Okay. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is Yah, God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. It say what it say. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. If your head is covered and you praying or prophesying, you're dishonoring your head, which according to the top is Yah, Christ. But every woman that prayeth or prophesying with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. As if she were shaven. When you say as if about something, you're using it as an example. So it says, but every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. Just as if you was walking around with a bald head. It's an example. For if that woman be not covered, if she don't want to cover her head, let her also be shorn. Let her also be shaven. If you don't want to cover your head while you're praying and prophesying, then you might as well just shave your hair. Why? But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn, if you're shameful for being bald or shaven, if you are, excuse me, but if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, bald, if it's a shame for you to be shaven, then let her be covered. Then cover your head. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image of God. Yeah. But the woman is the glory of the man. Women, cover your head when you're praying or prophesying. If you do not, you are dishonoring your head. If you're a single woman, then your head is straight Christ and Yah. So you're dishonoring Christ and Yah. If you are married, you're dishonoring that man who is covered by Yah, Christ. Okay, now, for the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. I'm trying to go down to the part where it talks about the hair because people seem to want to use that and say that that's what it's talking about. I'm trying to get down to that. Okay. Neither was the man created for the woman, nor the woman for man. For this cause ought the woman to have power over her head because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman, but all things of Yah. Judge in yourselves as it comely, judge yourselves as it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered. That's a question. That's not a statement, by the way. Doeth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is shame? Okay, where's the part where it talks about the hair? Where is the part where it talks about? But if a woman have long, okay, here it is. I just could have kept reading. Doeth not even nature itself teach you that? But if a woman have long hair, it is glory to her, for her hair is given her as a covering. Okay, now people want to use that and say that um that your hair is considered your covering. Okay, which is good. Yah gives you your hair as a covering. So if Yah gives you hair as a covering, He don't want you walking around bald. He wants you to have a covering for your hair. The average woman, if she's bald, she's shameful of that. She's embarrassed of that. That's why y'all walking around with wigs and everything else on your head, braids, whatever you can do to make your hair long. It's in you to have long hair. By the way, if you stop using all them chemicals, you'll have long hair. But anyway, it's in you. You're going to feel some type of way. The only woman that shouldn't feel some type of way about being bald is, the woman who got cancer, or if she wants to have her hair short. That's on you. If you're not ashamed of that, then do you. But the average woman feels some type of way about having short hair. So, going back to, but every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shaven. Let her be bald. Let her be shorn. Cut your hair. If you ain't ashamed of that, if you ain't ashamed of being bald, then you shouldn't be ashamed of not having your hair covered. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. So if you would be ashamed to be bald, then when you're praying and prophesying in this word, you should cover your head. You should have that same feeling. You should have that same thought process. You shouldn't want to be praying and prophesying with your head uncovered. You should feel some type of way about that thing. It's an example. It's saying the same way that you would feel if you was walking around here bald is the same way that you should feel if you're praying and prophesying without your head covered. For me, I see that as Paul saying, women, you getting out of hand when it comes to you, how you're talking to these brothers. You need to have a reminder of where your place is. I'm going to need y'all as a reminder to cover your heads when you're praying and prophesying, as a reminder of your place, as a reminder of this scripture, of where your place is in the Godhead. Once again, I ain't no teacher. I ain't claiming to be a teacher. I'm not claiming to teach this scripture. I'm doing this for those who believe in the covering, but are sick of hearing this explanation of it's not talking about covering your head. Paul clearly says cover your head. There's no around that. Excuse my hairs. I'm sorry, y'all. I was going to get myself all done up for this video, but if I do that, I'll never do the video. But it's been on my spirit for a long time. To me, it's like the fringes. The scriptures say, put on your fringes. Now, this video is for believers. This video isn't for non-believers. I'm not going to say it that way. This video is for those who believe themselves to be in the truth, not for people who are in the church and you don't believe we have to do the commandments anymore and all that. So this ain't for you. This is for those who are already under the understanding of we're supposed to obey the commandments. But some of us want to say that this scripture does not mean cover your head. Some of us that believe themselves to be in the truth want to say that this scripture does not mean cover your head. So, my understanding is Paul is saying, or the fringes, to me, they coincide in a way of the way they're explained. The fringes, Yah tells us, y'all keep disobeying the law. I need to give y'all a reminder so you can stop doing that. Wear your fringes. Now, y'all know I'm paraphrasing. Okay. But this is for layman's terms. Like I said, I'm not no teacher. I don't break down scripture. I'm not finna argue scripture with you. I do use, from my understanding, I do use terms, phrases like I think, because that's the fact. So I don't say that if somebody say, I think, that you're not telling the truth because you said I think first. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But anyway. So the fringes scripture is an explanation, is a commandment to wear fringes. Is a commandment. Most of us can agree with that. Some of us don't, but most of us agree with that. So if you believe in the scripture of the commandments, then this scripture here about the head covering you shouldn't be teaching that your hair is your covering. You shouldn't be teaching that it's just metaphorical or, whatever. Because in that case, you could say the fringes is metaphorical as well. The fringes scripture tells you to wear your fringes, and then it explains why. But it doesn't, just because it's explaining to you why as an example, so that you can follow the commandments, to remember the commandments, that doesn't mean you don't have to do it. It just breaks down why. For me, the head covering scripture says what it says. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head uncovers, dishonors his head. Period. So if you're a brother and you out here praying and prophesying with your hat on or your scarf or whatever the case may be, you're dishonoring your head, which above says is God or is Yah. But every woman that prayeth or prophesying with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head. So if you married, that's your man, and then your man is the covering of Yah. Either way, you're dishonoring God if you're praying or prophesying and you do not have your head covered. For that is even all one, as if she were shaving. As if. Yah gave you your hair as a covering. If you were bald, you would be embarrassed by that thing. You would feel some type of way about it. So this is saying as if. If it was only talking about your hair, then he wouldn't have had to say cover, because you're already covered. There would have been no reason for Paul to put this part in it if he wasn't talking about a physical covering. That's what I got. That's the best way I can explain it, because there's some sisters out here who believe in the covering, and then they're hearing that script, they're hearing people try to explain it, and they're trying to say that that's not what it means. Y'all get what I'm trying to say. For those of us that are in the truth, y'all get what I'm trying to say. Excuse my garbage, excuse all that. Not really garbage, but excuse my background and all that. This has been on my spirit for a long time. For those of us who are trying to obey these commandments and do what thus saith Yah, we're trying to. Just ignore that. I'm sorry, ignore it. But I'm not good at really breaking stuff down. I'm more of a layman's term type person, so that's why it doesn't sound as broke down. But somebody else can probably take it, another sister, maybe another brother, and it really bothers me that there's, well, I ain't gonna say that, but I feel like when I'm covered or uncovered, when I'm uncovered and I'm reading and doing the scriptures or something, I feel some type of way about it. And it's a spiritual thing for me. It's definitely a spiritual thing for me. I don't know. That's all I got. Take it for what you will.